So, warm welcome to everyone, and myself, Pravita, Assistant Professor, Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. And the topic which we are going to see today is about conditional statements in Python, right? So, what is conditional statements? So, normally when we run a program, the execution flow will be from top to bottom and left to right. So, when we want to navigate or when we want to divert the control, the default control, we have to go for some conditional statements. So this control flow can be changed with the help of the control statements. So there is nothing but some sorts of conditions will be provided, and when it is true, some sorts of statements will be executed. When it is false, the other sorts of statements will be executed. So the conditional statements are nothing but decision making statements. So we can say that as the alternate name for it is decision making statements. There are four types of conditional statements. One is if statement, the second one is if else statement, the third one is if else if statement, or we can call it as if else if else statement, right? And the last one is nested statements. So these are the four types of conditional statement, and the first one is if statement. Simple thing, we provide one condition, and if it's true, the block, some sorts of code will be executed. That's it. If the condition false, the block of code will not be executed. Automatically the point will be deviated to the alternate lines, right? So main thing, you have to see this syntax. If, then we have to provide the condition, and the colon is most important, and in Python we have to focus in indent. The indent concept is main. So when we provide some sorts of condition, we have to provide a block of code using the indent. So we have to add some sorts of one tab or four spaces in front of code to say that if this condition is true, you have to execute these statements which I have given with the help of space key, right? So look at the syntax over here. If condition, the colon is main, and then the code, block of code with the help of indent in front. And the main thing, if statement is used to execute a block of code only when the condition is true. The next type is if else statement, right? So what is if else statement is that we provide an optional code if we the same type as we mentioned in the previous example, that is if statement. So if we provide a condition, right? If it is true, a certain block of code is executed, else the count of statements are skipped and the other statements are executed, right? Now we are going to provide an option. If this is true, you have to execute one certain block of code, else you can execute the other block of code. So if else statements allows us to execute one block of code if the condition is true, and another block of code if the condition is false. So we have to provide two blocks of code. The blocks of the code can be separated with the help of indent. So the same syntax, if condition colon some sorts of block of code which has to be executed only when the condition is true, and same wise we have to remove the indent and we have to type else colon, and in the next line we have to provide indent to show the next block of code, and we have to type the block of code which has to be executed if the condition is false. So the next type is if else if statement, or we can also call it as if else statement, right? So in this we can provide multiple conditions. So when we have multiple conditions, we have to go for if else if statement, right? So if else statement allows us to check multiple conditions and execute different block of codes based on the condition. So if the condition is true, one sort of statement is executed. If then again another condition is checked and another condition is checked. The main thing which you have to note in the if else statement is the last block. Whatever may be the condition, when we are going to check multiple conditions, we have to provide else block at the last. So whatever the conditions may be, if the condition, all the conditions are failed, the last block, that is else block, will be executed. So look at the syntax. So first thing, if a condition is provided, so certain blocks of code is executed. Then if it is false, then elif condition is checked, that is the second condition is checked over. So if it is true, some sorts of code is executed. So if both the conditions are failed, so what block has to be executed? That has to be provided inside the else block. So in Python, we have to, main thing we have to notice, colon and indent. So if condition colon, and else if condition, the second condition, and we have to provide the colon, and else colon, and the block of code is executed with the help of indent. So the last type which you are going to see is nested if. So the word nested, what do you understand by the word nested? Right, nested is a complex structure. Can you see the birds next? It is a complex structure. Same wise, a nested if is a complex decision making structure, right? And nothing but, in simple words, we can say that a condition inside a condition. So we can check, this is also a sorts of multiple conditions, but we, how the conditions are checked is, first a condition is checked, if it is true, another one condition is checked. So inside the block of code, we are providing another if condition. Not only if condition, you can provide if else or if else if conditions. The basic concept is checking a condition inside condition. We can say it as, we can nest if statement within another if statement to create a complex decision making structure. So we have to be very cautious with this nesting to maintain the code readability, right? So whatever it is, we have to provide, the block should be ended correctly, and if you want, we have to mention the else block also. So in this example, you can see that I have provided two conditions. So if a condition is checked, if it is true, another condition is checked. The main thing, the specific thing which we have to note here is, for first condition I have started from the margin, and the second condition I have given one indent, and the block of code is another indent. So indent should be cautious and colon should be cautious, right? Now we are going to see the importance of conditional statement. So the first point, when we start the slide, we just stated that conditional statements are essential for controlling a program flow, right? It is used for making a decision. It can deviate the control by using some sorts of conditions. Some specific conditions are provided, and based on that, the flow of execution can be deviated from one place to another. That is one of the importance of conditional statements. And the second one is flexibility and logic of a program. So when there is need, we have to implement this conditional statement to improve the flexibility of the code and logic of the code, right? So examples and applications where we can use this conditional statements, right? So as an engineering student, as a basic thing where we can use it, as a student where we can use it, and what all programs we can use it, right? So we can use this to validate an input, for error handling and implementing algorithms, right? So in these places you can use it as in, for each and every application you can use it, right? So in your lab programs, you can use it for validation and an email ID, for checking errors, and all other algorithms we can use it, right? So conclusion, coming to the conclusion, the main thing of understanding this control statement is a fundamental for Python programming. Not only for Python, for all languages, the conditional statements are the basic fundamental. Once there is a need for changing the control flow, basically the control flow is from top to bottom and left to right. When you decide to change the flow, we have to definitely know the concept of conditional statements, then only we can change the flow. So this is a fundamental for all languages, right? And this control flow, I mean this conditional statements, helps us to dynamically write and respond to a code, right? Python is a dynamic program, is an interactive language. So this one helps us for dynamically and responsible to the code. It empowers us to write a code to another level, right? So, so in today's slide, we have learnt about the conditional statements and the four types of conditional statements with their syntax. And thank you for your valuable time. So we can see the examples of these conditional statements in our future recordings, right? Thank you, Ma.